Hello, beautiful people. Welcome. It's so good to be here. I'm looking forward to spending this time with you. And I've got all kinds of stuff set up to talk about. And so if you'd like to, chat, you want to talk about anything, please leave comments for us so that we can say hello to you. And I'd love any interaction. So if you have any kind of issues or questions, even if I don't know exactly how to answer it, maybe we could talk about it in terms of thyroid or anything else that you might want to ask me. So I just see. Okay, so the chat is really quiet, and that's okay. So today I wanted to talk about thyroid. And I personally, hi, Jill. Good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Today I want to talk about the thyroid. And the thyroid is it's a problem for me. Oh my gosh. Oh, hello. Let's see. How do you say that? Is that Jackie? Jackie. Okay, welcome. And hello, Marilyn. Oh, it's so good. So everyone's just starting to come in. Maybe I'll just hang out for a minute before I get into thyroid. I will ask, does anybody have a thyroid issue, or do you know anyone that has ever had one? Because they seem to be very common in the United States anyways. And hey, hi, Nan. Oh, thank you. Nan says, Jennifer's incredible presentation as always. That's so kind of you. Thank you so much. So Jill says, I have low thyroid. Okay. So I do too. And it's very common, as we will talk about. I wonder if anyone else has any thyroid issues, and if you have anything that has helped you, or you just use medication, you can put it in the chat. But I'm going to get started here. Jackie says, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Okay. Yes, I've had low thyroid for over 20 years. Wow. Okay, see, so it is common, just right here, we have a handful of people. And so, like always, I've got some notes here. So if I look down, you know that I'm just making sure to stay on track, or if I forget something, I want to be able to reference it. But I want to talk about what is the thyroid, because if you are fortunate enough to be here and have no idea what I'm talking about, consider yourself super lucky that you don't know what the thyroid is. And if you do, then you can let me know if this is a good description or not. I have an underactive thyroid all my life, says Marilyn. And Lisa's on. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, Marilyn, I mean, it's just, you're right. A lot of people have it. And there's Gina. Gina is our moderator. Thank you so much. Gina's in the house. Hello, Gina. Okay, so back to what is a thyroid. So the thyroid is actually a gland in the neck. We all have this gland in the neck, and it's in the shape of, kind of looks like a butterfly. And I should have brought a picture, but it's kind of like, goes up and then down and then up, around, kind of like that. So it would be like these two wings and then the centerpiece, and it's right here. And the thyroid is actually part of our endocrine system, and it has a super important job. It makes hormones, and they help our body actually with our energy, as one of the many things that it does. And so it's it affects nearly all the organs in the body. So if the thyroid is off, all kinds of things bad can happen or go askew. And if you're not, paying attention, and you start to feel weird, that's something, if you don't know what it is, that you could talk to your doctor about and check that out. Of course, I'm just sharing now, so I'm not giving any advice or medical advice. If you feel anything that we talked about and you're not sure, go have it checked out. And if you haven't subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'd love it if you join us, and you'll be notified when I go live or post new videos. So anyways, it also affects a lot of things that I started talking about besides the organs, but it also can affect actually our breathing, our heart rate. It can affect metabolism, weight, depending on if you're hypo or hyper, which we'll get into later, digestion, and a big one, mood. Yes, the thyroid can make us moody. No way. So it's a really important gland, and we just need to understand what the thyroid is. So does anybody have any questions about that or comments? I hope that was a good description. Before we move on, I want to make sure that everybody is on the same page with that. And so let's see. Okay, oh, hi Natalie. Whoops, the chat's getting a little crazy. Oh, Gina said, of course, Jennifer has a beautiful spread of veggies on her counter, so colorful. Thank you. And it's just all good food, right? All wonderful food. So if nobody has any questions, then I'm going to go on, and I want to talk just about a few of the types of thyroid disorders that are out there, and some and diseases. And I will mention them, and I'll tell you which ones I have. And if you notice something that I'm saying and you want to put it in the chat, feel free. So how do you get a thyroid disease or disorder? Well, it's when the thyroid gland isn't doing its job. It's either not producing enough of the thyroid hormone, because that's its job. So it either under or over makes it. So it might make too much, or it may make not enough, but it is not, doing it in balance. And that is when you're usually diagnosed with a thyroid disorder or disease of some sort. And so some of the ones that I'm aware of, there's something called a goiter, if anybody's ever heard of that. And that's when the thyroid gland, the gland itself, like blows up. And you can see sometimes on people, if they have a goiter, it sticks out. And it's a swollen or enlarged thyroid gland. And that's a goiter, and that can be caused by having your thyroid levels off. Another one is hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism is when the thyroid is making too much hormone, and it can cause all kinds of problems. Like you can have a lot of energy. You can be like, you feel like you're, just hyper, and you just kind of keep going everywhere. And you might lose weight rapidly because you can't keep it on. You sweat a lot, all kinds of things like that. And that's hyperthyroidism. Then there's also hypothyroidism. And hypo is not hyper, right? Hyper is like hyperactive. Whereas hypo, the O kind of reminds me of like a sluggish hanging out. I don't know if that helps, but that's what I think of. And I have hypothyroidism. So my thyroid is sluggish and slow. And I don't want to call it lazy because I love my body, but it's just like, come on, little turtle, and so that happens, it's just the opposite. It happens when the thyroid is not making enough. It just is not making enough of the thyroid hormone. You can also get thyroid cancer, and there are such things as thyroid nodules. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about what a nodule is, but it has to do with a lump in the thyroid gland. And then there's Hashimoto's disease. Anybody have that besides me? Team Hashimoto's? So Hashimoto's disease is an autoimmune disease, and it damages the thyroid gland. It actually attacks our own thyroid. So when you think of little marching soldiers that go out and get rid of things that make us sick, bugs or whatever, that, disease and illness, it's attacking our thyroid, which is not sick. It's great, but it just, for some reason, doesn't see it that way and thinks it's an an intruder. And so it can cause, right, well, like I said, it can cause the antibodies to attack the gland. Okay, I see a question coming in. I'll pause on the middle of explaining about Hashimoto's, and let's see what we have here. Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. Yes, me too. Okay, see, so this is it's very common. And I see Gina said hypo, too fast, hyper, I'm mixing it up. Hyper, you wrote it right. Too fast, hypo, too slow. Yes, that's right. Hyper, like hyper. And then that's too fast. And hypo, that's too slow. How's that? So hopefully that helps. Lisa says, my two 17-year-old cats have hyperthyroidism. You're kidding. Well, I mean, I'm surprised because I don't know much about cats. I'm allergic to cats. I just know about dogs, but it makes sense, right? They have little immune systems too, darn it. So I wonder, do you have to give them anything for it? And at least they have you to help take care of them. Okay, so going back to Hashimoto's disease. So we talked about the cause, right? The antibodies attack it until it kills it. I mean, and it could take years. It's not something that just happens, you know, but another thing is you can have symptoms of Hashimoto's, and that would be things like fatigue. You can feel tired. You can have weight gain. You can be constipated, and you can definitely have dry skin and hair loss. Your hair can not only fall out, and I mean, we all lose hair, we shed, but this is an abundance, and it can also thin out your hair. And you can even have like we talked about earlier, mood swings. Well, you can have depression too, and other things. And these are just to name a few things that that can happen. Now, it is more common in women than in men. Why is that? I don't know, but it is. It seems like more women have been diagnosed with some type of Hashimoto's or thyroid problem. But men do get it. In fact, my uncle, he passed away, but he had thyroid disorder. And so as far as the onset, it usually comes on when you're an adult. It doesn't have to. You can get it as a child, but it's usually more commonly found mid-adult. And it's usually, or it can be triggered by a trauma. And an example of a trauma could be giving birth. So, and when I think about, okay, more women, I mean, not to say that that's the only way to get it, but more women give birth than men, right? Okay. Let me just check the chat. Okay. Oh, Marilyn says, Lisa says, yes, we do. They are, they're on medications for it. And Marilyn says, bulging eyes. Yes. Natalie says, hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's you have as well. Oh my gosh. Hi, Serenity Bloom. Oh, I'm so glad you're in the house. I don't see you in the chat, but where is she in the chat? Somewhere in there? Okay. And so the last thing I want to say about it for now is, what is the treatment? What do we do? Nothing. They give you medication for thyroid, hyper or hypo, but Hashimoto's, you can get medication for that too, but there's no treatment to like cure it, according to some. So, and there are other symptoms of Hashimoto's that, we could just go on and on about it. So let me just flip over my little paper. Any other questions going on right now, Todd? No? Okay. So, yep. So we talked about why that happens, and yeah, I pretty much already talked about that. So a couple of things that I get, my hands are always cold. My feet are always cold. So, one thing that could cause that is the thyroid disorder. And I did want to share a little bit about my blood work, not to go into a long whole thing, but there is a panel that you can ask your doctor to order if you're not familiar with this. Or if you're going to your doctor and they're saying, you're reporting symptoms, they might order a blood panel, and it's the thyroid panel. Some doctors just order one, but there are many parts to it. And so I always try to make sure that they do as many as they can. And some of the ones that I'm familiar with is the TPO, and here are some of my labs, which is the thyroid paradoxis antibodies. They call it TPO. There's also something called the T3 free, or they call it free T3 and free T4. Some doctors only will do one of them, and then based on that, they say you have it or you don't. But you can have them both and kind of see what levels and just know, what's going on. And then there's the TSH, and that is the thyroid stimulating hormone. So if that doesn't confuse you enough, I'll just let you know that the TSH is the hormone that's produced by the anterior pituitary gland that helps to maintain levels. Now, that's really interesting to me. And if you've watched my story, or maybe you haven't, I had a pituitary adenoma, which is a tumor in the pituitary. And the pituitary, just really quickly, is a little pea-sized gland. It sits in the base of the brain, in the center between the eyes, way deep in there. And so the thyroid and the pituitary work together. And so it's amazing that that I'm okay, right? I had the pituitary tumor removed, and nothing really changed much. I had the thyroid problem prior. So I thought that was really interesting. So the TSH can also, it's done by measuring the blood. And so basically that's what we were talking about, the blood test. So I'm just going to share a little bit of my labs. So what is going to cause the Hashimoto's is the TPO, the very first one that I talked about. And on my lab, some labs have different numbers, but I'm just going to use mine as an example. And I'm going to say, hi there, Kenneth. It's nice to have you here. So on my labs, it says 35, the number that they give you, 35 and under is normal. So when my husband gets his checked on the rare occasion, he's normal, and I'm so happy for him. The very first time that I was tested for Hashimoto's, because it wasn't when I was first diagnosed with the thyroid problem, so I said it 35 and under, and then they go to like 1,300, and then they don't go any further. And mine was 1,300 plus. So I don't even really know what it was. And my doctor looked at me and said, we need to deal with the elephant in the room. And I just didn't even understand any of this, but my level was so through the roof. And so since then, I'll just tell you, I have brought it down, and it's kind of done this up and down thing, but I've got it way down into the hundreds. And at one point I got it down 64, which is so close to 35. And my doctor actually told me that he didn't believe that I could do it. But right now I just had some blood work done, and it's 142. So I'm still considered high, but for me, wow, I got it way down, and I did it through food. And so anyways, let's see if there's anything else that I want to share about my blood work, or if anyone has any questions. Yeah, so that's it for that. Let me see it. Whoops. Okay, and just want to see anything going on here. No. Oh, yes. Lisa says that's a huge improvement, right? Oh, my gosh. I was so excited when I saw that lab, even though it was still high. And for anybody else walking in and having that their first test, they would have been like, oh, that's terrible. But for me, wow, right? And I will say it did dip back up. I should mention this. Back in 2023, it looks like it did go back up, but then it went back down again. And like I said, it's 142 right now. So let's go on. I want to share about, well, first of all, this is my bottle. This is my bottle of thyroid medication. It's empty because I just finished it, but I wanted to have it up here that we can talk about it. And there's a generic and then there's a brand. And years ago, it used to be that it was recommended to have the brand because they said that the amount in each pill was very precise, and that the generic could be a little off. And so if you're sensitive, you know, over time, you don't want it to be up a little and down a little. So for a period of time, I was recommended to go on brand, many years actually. And then recently, within the last handful of years, I decided for cost reasons to try to go on the generic. And we checked my blood to see, and I'm doing okay. So hey, I get to save money. And anyways, so yes, Todd.
Marilyn would like to know, how long did it take to go down?
Yeah, good question. So, how long did it take to go down? You know, I don't remember exactly, but it was when I changed my food. And so it was within a window of probably a handful of months, right? Because we don't check it very often. When I'm monitoring it like this, I can do it every 2 months, but usually it was every 4 to 6 months. And so I would say around a few months, a handful of months. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact, I just don't remember exactly. Do you?
I don't.
No. Okay, but it was, I mean, pretty quick considering it had been high for who knows how long. And just by eating the good, nutritious, yummy foods, it helped me so much. So anyways, I want to talk about what I tried. And let's see. I want to, no, you know what? I want to talk about my story. I kind of skipped over that. I'm sorry. I got excited. So let's talk about my story. When was I diagnosed? I have, my oldest daughter was born, and I was diagnosed after her birth. So she's 35. So 35 years ago, I was diagnosed. And I was diagnosed by my obstetrician, the doctor who delivered my baby. And I remember going in and saying, my hair is falling out. Should I be concerned? And he said, no, that's normal after you have a baby, you know. And so then I thought, well, this is a lot. So I actually collected the hair and put it in a baggie, like a sandwich Ziploc baggie, and brought a full baggie. And then he said, that's excessive. Let's do a panel. And then that's how we found it. I had the blood test, and he said, you have this thyroid. I didn't even know what it was. He said, you have hypothyroidism. I mean, I didn't know what that was. And I had my kids really young. So I was like, oh, okay, what does that mean? And he said, that just means it's no big deal. He said, you just take this little pill every day in the morning forever. I was like, forever? And he said, yeah, it's not a big deal, really. It's just, you know. And so back then I trusted what the doctor said, and I didn't know to ask any questions. And so I kind of just said, okay. And that was it. And then I had another baby, and the levels kind of got askew. And I actually went hyper for a short period of time, then hypo. And then the third baby, because I have 3 children, the same thing. But I ended up being on the dose of 50 micrograms. And I pretty much have stayed there my entire 35 years, with the exception of a little thing that I'll get into. And so anyways, I just would have the doctors check. And at some point, what happened after that? At some point, I ended up hearing a doctor say, who is your endocrinologist? And this was probably when my kids were teenagers. So not right after I was diagnosed. And I said, what is an endocrinologist? Because I didn't even know. And they said, that is a specialist who handles thyroid and other things, but, you know, hormones and different things. So I thought, oh my gosh, why didn't anyone tell me? So I find one, and they did like a full workup, including an ultrasound of my neck, because I ended up having a nodule. And we spoke earlier about a nodule. And so a nodule is a cluster of cells that go together. And it used to be that the way that they would diagnose you is if they could feel it. So they said, oh, I feel a little something. And so I actually at one point had a biopsy where it was not fun. You lay down and you're awake, which is not good for me because I'm very sensitive to that stuff. And they put a needle into the thyroid. Well, they did it in the nodule, and they try to pull out some kind of liquid, and then they would test it, but there was nothing came out. So eventually they said, okay, let's do an ultrasound. So, if you've ever had an ultrasound, they do them on your neck, and they had me lay down, and they put a lot of pillows so that, under your neck. So it's really like this way, and they put that gel on, and they take a look, and they start measuring. And there it was. It wasn't big, but it was there. And I said, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What do you do? There's nothing to do because I was already taking the medicine. And they said, we're just going to watch it. Watch it for what? Watch it for growth. And so I started having these kind of ultrasounds done annually. And it didn't really do too much stuff. Some people, if it grows too big, they might recommend having it removed. It could turn into a cancer, and that's a different story. And so let's see. So any other questions? Oh, knock on wood, genetic continues for you. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Nan. Yeah. That generic works for me. Knock on wood, that generic works for me. Yes, I know, because it doesn't always work for everyone. Thank you so much. So eventually, I started working with some natural doctors, and just kind of watching the Hashimoto's. We didn't do anything with it. And so fast forward to the last few years when I ended up, let's see, even before that, let me just back it up. So when I started perimenopause, that's a fun subject. Oh gosh. And I was going to a doctor who was helping me with my hormones. And, he was testing it more regularly, and it went up. Well, let's see, the medication strength needed to be boosted up stronger because based on my levels. And I was like, oh my gosh, why? Like, what happened? I was eating clean food by then. And he said, no, it's just part of it. Like, this can happen because when you're in perimenopause, your hormones are going crazy and all kinds of weird things can happen. And so I went from the 50 micrograms to 75 micrograms and stayed there. And then a couple years ago, I went to True North. If you're not familiar with True North, check out my link to True North Health Center. It's where they do medically supervised water fasting. And I did do water fasting. And so, they had me cut the dose in half while I was water fasting. That's how they do it. And then afterwards, they said, kind of watch it for the next couple of months. And I did. And believe it, my level went down. So I didn't need 75 anymore. And I was so excited. I got to go back down to 50. Yay. So that happened just from water fasting, which should have been a clue. I mean, it was, but anyways, so that's where I landed. And also after water fasting, I was told they don't find the nodule anymore. After all those years, probably, between 25 and 30 years, all of a sudden they don't see the nodule anymore. I'm like, okay, are you sure? Like, I'm almost questioning it, right? Because but no, there was nothing there. So that's exciting. So I don't have to get those scans anymore. And so then fast forward to this year, I was like, okay, you know what? I want to get off this medication. How do I do that? So I'm talking to the whole food plant-based doctors. I'm talking to my doctor, and everyone is in agreement of how we could try to do it. So how they want to do it is so currently I take it 7 days a week, and I am not suggesting you do any of this, but I'm just sharing in case it's something you want to bring to your doctor. You can talk to your doctor and see if they would do this. So 7 days a week, 50 micrograms, and they said, let's take one of the days away. some people talk about shaving the pill, but my doctors were saying it's hard to measure because you don't know how much you're shaving. So if it's measured in the pill, it's easier for us to kind of monitor where you are. So I went to doing it 6 days a week, and I took Sunday off. I thought Sunday would be a good day, right? Sunday's like it's supposed to be a relaxing day, even if it's not. So for the last 6 months, I've been doing 6 days a week. And when I just had the blood test that I was talking to you about, I noticed that I'm still in the safe range, the window of normal. And it's normal because I am supplementing. If I took it off completely, it would tank. And that's why it's important to do a weaning, because I've been told that because it's been 35 years, that anything over 10 years, it's really unrealistic to think that the thyroid would heal itself. But hey, I don't believe anybody. I want to just check it out for myself. So we did another blood test. It was in the normal range. What does that mean? I can back off another day. So I'm currently doing it 5 days a week. I took Wednesday off and Sunday. And I was saying, could I just take the whole weekend off? But the doctor was saying, you know what? You want it to be a little more balanced because that's a long time for you not to have anything. And so that's where I'm at right now. And I'm hoping to continue to lower it. So that was kind of a long story. Does anyone have any questions? Let's see. Oh, Natalie Dixon says, I found out I had nodules after an ultrasound too. Oh, but they diagnosed on their own. Another ultrasound confirmed it. Huh, that's interesting. So you still have it. Jill says, I'm on 45 micrograms of the generic. Oh, so you're able to take it too. I heard that generic is so much better now, and it's more level. So it works better for a lot more people, and it's not the same as it used to be. That's what I was told. Natalie says, I take 75 micrograms. Oh, and Marilyn says, I take 75 micrograms 6 days a week. So that's interesting. They don't want to lower you because you probably need more than the next dose down, which is usually the 50. And then Natalie says 7 days. Oh, so you take the 7 days a week, 75. Yeah, and I got down from that. So I hope you can too if you want. And then Jill says, I'm on 7 days a week. I'm going to talk to my doctor about it. Good. Yeah. I mean, there's no sense in, not talking and seeing if there's something you can do. For goodness sake, if I go too low and I realize maybe I can't get all the way off, at least I'll find the sweet spot and I won't be over medicating. It's not good to over medicate. It's not good to under medicate, but it's good to get the thyroid, give it a chance to wake up and do its job. And so that's what I say. And then Jackie says, I'm sorry, did I skip one? Oh, Natalie, typo. Oh, they disappeared. Oh, they disappeared on their own. Wow. Okay. Well, that's good. I wonder how long you had those for, because mine was there for like well over 20 years, 25 years. And then Jackie said, I had to stop the generic. Oh, too many side effects. See, so yeah. And okay. So you needed to take the brand. And I know it's just, for me, it was just trying to cut costs. But anyways, at least we all know where we are. Marilyn says, I take brand name. Doctor says I should take brand name because that's what my body is used to. Yeah, there are some generics. The manufacturers are different. Good point. And I was told that if you're going to do generic and it works, make sure to stay on the same manufacturer. Well, we've had changes in our insurance and it doesn't always work that way. So I have actually tried a couple different manufacturers and I've been fine on both. But I pay attention to that now. Or if you switch pharmacists, ask, because some of them, they don't carry the one that you're on. And so you can research if there's any changes and you're doing well with one of the manufacturers and you're not on the brand, you can see, does this place that I need to change to offer that manufacturer, in case nobody knew that. Jill says, I switched because the one I was on was from pigs. Yep. I went to generic to go with the synthetic. Yeah, that's the thing. These medications aren't vegan or whole food plant based. And so, I always try not to do synthetic. You've heard me maybe talk about don't do synthetic, do real food. But in this case, I'm with you, and I'd prefer not to do that. But so you're saying that that the generic is not made from the pigs. Isn't that, I don't even want to start thinking about those poor, okay. Yeah, it's really sad. Okay. When you become aware of what's going on, for me, it's hard not to think about the suffering, but I'm going to stay focused on what we're talking about here because that's another topic. So, we talked about all of that. Okay, so that's pretty much my story. So let me go and flip over my notes here. We talked about almost all of this stuff. Oh, I want to talk about what I've tried. Okay, so I told you about the medication part of what I tried. But then, like my one doctor, he said, why don't you read this book? It's called The Root Cause, and it's by a doctor who cured her Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Well, this is not a vegan or a whole food plant-based doctor. So I was a little unsure, and I told my doctor, I want something that's going to offer me, the food that I like to eat. And so he kind of said, you don't have to follow it, but she was really good at describing things and explaining things. I personally, this was a long time ago. I thought it was a hard to follow book, but sometimes reading and comprehension takes me a few times, so it might be fine. But I'm just sharing it because it's where I started. It was years ago. I've had this book forever, and I don't even think I actually finished it. I've got a sticky note here talking about iodine. So yeah, I guess there are some things that might be good. Maybe if you're interested, you could just get it out of the library and whatever. But I also heard about the medical medium, and I've done a lot of stuff with the medical medium. I actually have lots of his books, Cleanse to Heal and the Brain Saver Protocol, right here. Actually, this one was a gift from my friend Janet at Plant Powered Peddler, if you want to check out her channel. So these are great, but he also has one about thyroid, and I have part of it in here. I don't have the whole book. I don't know. I think I loaned it or something, but somehow I did make some copies of some of the recipes and things that he has regarding thyroid, and they're really good. So this book I really recommend, the Thyroid Healing Book. But did it cure me? I don't know that I did anything like, besides just eat some of the food. He's got an artichoke on the front because artichokes are supposed to be really good, according to him, for thyroid. So anyways, for what it's worth, I wanted to share those. I want to take a peek in the chat and say, video 1000 nights, the fruits and veggies on the island look great. Hey, first of all, hello, and thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've tried. And I told you about the endocrinologist that I finally went to. I told you everything. Okay, so now I told you about how I lowered it after my water fast. And I want to also tell you that I went raw last year. I did it to just do an experiment because I had heard so many things about going raw. And I went raw with Lissa's menus from Raw Food Romance. I did 6 weeks, and I'm pretty sure that that's when I noticed that my levels were in the low range, that 64 I talked about. Wow. But I just thought it was all the food. I didn't think it had to do with cooked or not cooked. And I was just I was really focused on improving my small fiber neuropathy. So that was the end of that. And so you have to remember, right? 64. So 35 and lower is like you don't have a problem on my lab. And so that was pretty impressive. So let's see. Okay, so I also have heard about Dr. Brooke Goldner. She's amazing. Amazing. If you don't know her, you got to check out her channel, her website, her everything. And she is goodbyelupus.com, and she's amazing. So she's a medical doctor, and she has all kinds of specialties. And she goes on free every week. I think Wednesdays at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. But you should double check it on YouTube, and answers people's questions for free. But she helps people cure autoimmune through food. And so I've done some of her stuff. She's really into smoothies. I happen to have a smoothie right here because I'm sipping on it today. And so I've tried her smoothies, but I didn't really understand everything I at the time. And so I was just doing smoothies and adding it into everything else I was doing, and nothing changed. But recently, I've started to look more at her and hear more about her. So as of, let's see, today through October 14th, I think, she is offering free material, free videos that she normally charges for. And it's not always free. So you can go to that website I told you about. I think, Todd put it in the chat. And it says, watch this just check out her stuff, and you can watch it. She does a great presentation. It's like 4 hours long. But you can pause it, just don't close it. And the first 2 hours are all instructions and teachings. And then the last 2 hours are more testimonials. And so I think if that's something that you're not aware of, or if you didn't know she was offering it for free, check it out. So I listened to it a few times, and it really is starting to resonate with me, because I heard it a few years ago, and I wasn't understanding the arachidonic acid and all of these things that she tried to simplify. But at the time, it just seemed like a lot for me. But I did my best, and then I would kind of forget about it. So I also have several friends who have tried her program with great results, like in remission of all kinds of things. She actually stumbled upon this program because she had lupus. And she was diagnosed at 16. And by the time she was, I think, 21 or very early 20s, they gave her like a handful of months to live. And she met somebody in college. She was going to medical school. It ended up being her husband. And they were going to get married, and I don't want to give the whole story away, but you can watch it. She shares it on that free thing. And she wanted to look, hot. And her husband, she already looks hot, but her husband, at the time, they weren't married yet. He was a trainer and was training all kinds of famous people and doing all kinds of things. And I don't know what his degree is. He's got like, oh God, I should have looked it up. So I'm not going to even say, but he's got a degree in, I want to say, some kind of chemistry. Does anyone know? If you know, let me know. But at any rate, she said, can you help me? I want to get really fit before our wedding. And so he kind of changed what he was doing for bodybuilders or different people. And he ended up putting her on this raw vegan diet. And guess what happened? She looked hot for her wedding, and they went on their honeymoon, and everything was great. And she was so happy, and she had muscles, and everything was great. And then when they came back, she had to go and get checked, and they said the lupus is gone. So that's part of her story. And she's been helping people ever since. She's got more than just these 2 books. These are recipe books. She's got several books about autoimmune and Goodbye Lupus. One of them is her story. And then they realized that it doesn't just work for lupus. It works for Sjogren's and all kinds of autoimmune, thyroid. And that's why I'm bringing it up, because I had to go and take a look at what I did and what I didn't understand and try again. So anyways, this is a smoothie recipe. It's just a little recipe. And this is her newest book. It's called Goodbye Lupus, Hello Delicious. They told her she couldn't have children, and she did get pregnant twice. And unfortunately, her almost 11-year-old son was tragically killed the end of last year in an accident. And so this book is dedicated to him, and he's got some of his special recipes in there. And she's like just an amazing, brave woman. And she's just out to help everyone that she can. So um, uh, it's really heart-wrenching. But so I have friends that have done it, and they've done really well. And then I've lately been watching a new friend of mine's, Nan Simonson. She's on YouTube as well. She has a channel, and she is also working on stuff for herself. And she has been explaining what she's doing and about Dr. Brooke Goldner's protocol. And so you can check her out if you'd like as well. And then let's see. So I was just saying to myself, unofficially, I'm going to try this. And I say unofficially because you're supposed to go on it for a minimum for like 6 weeks, and then have your blood drawn, and and you can work with her. You don't have to. I didn't mention that she works in groups. One just started, I think, this week. You pay for those, and then she can also see you one-on-one if you can't figure it out. But she has all free material for general. But if you have something special, you can reach her that way. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this, but I wanted to unofficially try it because that's how I operate. Sometimes it feels overwhelming for me. 6 weeks. What if I don't do it? So this is day 6 for me. And what I decided to do was take it 1 hour at a time. And so far, so good. So I'll tell you what I've been doing. I've been doing her hyper nourishing protocol by adding healing foods here and allowing for cellular repair. And she believes that the foods heal the best when they're cruciferous vegetables as well as raw. And so let's see, I'm just going to read some of the things I have here. So she wants you to give your body more of the good stuff, especially the cruciferous. So I'm going to talk about making her smoothie too. But this is what she wants. She wants 1 pound of cruciferous deep green vegetables. And I tried to put a bunch of them on here so that you could see. So like broccoli, there's kale. I have this dino kale. There's cauliflower here. You can do Brussels sprouts. I have Napa cabbage, not out, but it's kind of mixed in the salad, chopped up because I chopped it up already. Spinach is also in here. There's arugula, radish is one, and these are just to name a few. And so to flood the body with cruciferous vegetables, 1 pound a day, and then she wants an additional ½ pound of any other vegetables. So we've got cucumber, and we've got these, what are these? Sugar snap peas, carrots, regular romaine, and tomatoes and onion and cabbage and everything. Actually, cabbage is cruciferous, but everything that else that you might think of putting into a salad. And so lemon and lime, I have some lime here from our tree, is like a freebie. So you can add that. And I add it on everything. It really helps with the absorption of iron, that if you were here when I was talking about iron, you'll know about it. And then she says 24 ounces of fresh fruit or frozen fruit. That's not a lot of fruit for me. I was eating a lot of fruit. I thought it was really interesting, like, why? Fruit is so good, right? And she said that fruit, or I heard this, that fruit is like grown and hangs from a tree typically, right? So where does the minerals come from? The soil in the ground. So if fruit is hanging from a tree, it's got the soil, the roots have to take the minerals and pull it up and eventually get it to that apple, let's say, if we're looking at an apple tree or whatever that fruit is. Whereas carrots or kale or lettuce, these cruciferous, like they're in the ground. Broccoli, cauliflower, they're in the ground close to it. So the minerals, as many as they can, go right up into the food. And so that's why she likes to use the fruit like a condiment, like a sweetener, like to get you to eat it. Even bananas. I've got some bananas here too. And anyways, so let me just check the chat here. Natalie says, about 20 years back, I had these nodules and they just vanished within a year or two. This was long before I found out I had hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, which was about 5 years ago. Wow. I mean, that's incredible. I hope they don't come back. And I'm glad to hear that you were able to heal like that with, it sounds like you're not really sure why they disappeared, just that they were gone. Are you eating all your greens? Could be helping. Okay, so another thing I wanted to talk about is what I'm doing. So our bodies know what to do. They know how to absorb what they need. And so by eating these nutritious, dense, whole foods, it's better than, say, a supplement, because the supplement you can have too much of or too little of. And that's what I've heard from Dr. Goldner. And it could be, it's hard to control it or regulate it like in a capsule versus this. Your body will take what it needs, get rid of the rest, and it's all good. So another thing that she wants to, Natalie says, yes, I eat my greens. Yay, I'm so happy for you. Cheers to greens. Another thing that she talked about is the importance of iodine. So you could take an iodine supplement because it's measured. And she says 150 micrograms if you're not dealing with any kind of autoimmune problem. And if you are, she says 300 micrograms. So I don't have a supplement. She likes to do it in the iodized salt. I don't ingest salt, but I do have this, which is dulse. Now, I think she prefers you not to do the dulse because it's inaccurate in terms of the dosage, but I'm going to use up what I have and reevaluate then. And I have a lot of dulse. So I like dulse. Dulse was recommended to me by my whole food plant-based medical doctor. And so, but what Dr. Goldner says is she doesn't take the supplement. She does the iodized salt. If you're not familiar with what iodized salt is, well, I can remember when I was a kid, it was this little container that you buy at the store, and it was like a black or a deep blue label, and it had like a picture of this little girl in outline with an umbrella, the Morton salt, remember her? And you could see some of them say iodized, some of them don't, because back then, I think it was maybe in the 50s, they knew a lot of people were having problems not getting enough iodine. And so they said, well, everyone eats table salt. Let's add it to the table salt. Everybody will get it and we're good to go. Well, I did not know that until recently. So did you guys know that? Do you guys ingest that? So she recommends doing 150. Oh, I just told you that. Okay. She recommends doing a teaspoon of salt. So that's not what I like to do. Whole food plant-based, sos-free, gluten-free. And that means no salt. But the reason, if you're on her protocol, that she wants the added salt and she prefers that iodized one is because there's a lot of water that she wants us to drink. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. And you can flush out your minerals. And so this way, at least while you're on her protocol, that's something that she's recommending. Am I doing that? No, I'm not doing a teaspoon of salt. I actually personally had high levels of sodium in my blood when I wasn't doing any salt. So I'm just going to take it one day at a time. And if it seems like I need to add it a little bit temporarily, then I'll look into that. But that's what she said. She says you definitely want it. And then the other thing is high doses of omegas. Oh my gosh, omega-3 fatty acids. They are essential. What does that mean? our bodies don't make them, and we have to have them. So there are different ways that you can get them, but the way that she wants us to get them is through chia seeds or flax seeds. Flax seeds come, golden or dark, it doesn't matter. But this is the omega, and it's the least expensive way to get them. You can probably get supplements. She says if you can't get as much as she wants you to do a minimum of a half a cup. And there's a lot of fiber, and some people have issues with that. If they just start out, you want to start out slowly. But she also says you could do flax oil. I don't do oil, so that's not a go for me. So anyways, the first 2 days I was on this, I did a quarter cup of flax. And you want to make sure that if you're doing it, you grind it up fresh right when you need it. If you ingest it with like these seeds here, I should show you. Then it's just going to go through you and nothing's going to happen because our bodies don't break it down. We have to pre like blend it and grind it. So there it is. Can you see that okay? Oh, so Gina, let's see. Let me look at the chat for a minute. I eat chia seeds, flaxseed, and hemp seed every day. Excellent. Yes. She hasn't really mentioned hemp seed. I do too normally, but on this thing, I'm just trying to follow everything she says. The only thing I just haven't done is the salt. I don't know. I don't know. I'll just kind of have to still think about that. And then Gina says, she also does a quarter cup of flax. And Marilyn says, I buy flax meal. Yeah, so Dr. Goldner recommends that you buy the seed and grind it up yourself. You can do it with a coffee grinder. You could do it with the Vitamix. I do it with my dry, this guy here, the dry one. And I just do, a little bit at a time. But when I've been doing her smoothies, then I do it in the container. I put everything in there and then I add it. So it blends it in it. If I wasn't doing the smoothie, then I would grind it separately. Okay, so we talked about the omegas, and what that does is it creates an anti-inflammatory immune cell. Isn't that cool? And so if you flood yourself, your body gets what it needs, and it also has time to heal. So that's the way that she likes to call hyper-nourish, like give you more than you need of all this good stuff, and you should heal. So let's talk about the water. Okay. She says, and yes, this is filled with water. This is 8 cups, so 64 ounces. If you are 120 pounds or more, you want to have 128 ounces of water, okay? If you're 120 pounds or more, which is a gallon, it's a gallon of water. If you're 100 pounds or less, she wants you to do however many pounds you are. If you're 96 pounds, then you would do 96 ounces. If you're 100 pounds, you would do 100 ounces. You do the equal amount in ounces. So I've been doing 128 ounces, even though I'm not, I'm smaller than, my weight is less than 120. But when I did it based on my weight, I was still thirsty. So I just pay attention and I weigh it. I measure it, and then I pour it. And I know that 2 of these filled to the top is for the first part of the day. And then 2 more is the last part of the day. And so if I don't finish it, I know that I got it. Because why? Because I have the 128. But you're really supposed to, just have based on your weight. And there we go. So I would just pour that, and this is the second one for today, the second batch, I should say. And so why does she want you to do all this water? Because water helps everything move and it allows healing, and that's the whole point of this. And I understand that she has gotten the antibodies that cause the lupus for her to be gone. Like they don't even show up on the blood work. If I could get rid of my antibodies, is that right? Antibodies? Yeah, if I could get rid of the markers or whatever it is that's causing the thyroid, I mean, I'm all about trying it. So that's why I'm trying it. And let me just check the chat here again. Yeah, I know it is a lot of water. Lisa says that's a lot of water. Yes, 128 pounds or more is 128 ounces. No, it's 120 pounds, honey. 120 pounds. You put 128. 120 is 128, and under 100 pounds is that whatever you weigh that much in ounces. Okay, now I want to know if you want to talk about anything else, because if not, I kind of was thinking that we could just, I'll show you how I make her smoothie. Do you guys want to see it? Even though I won't blend it up, because here's what it looks like blended, and then I'll just use it for tomorrow. But I can certainly share, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to do. So I know we're at the hour. If you want to stay an extra, 5-10 minutes, that would be great. Oh, and I have to add one other thing: avocado. Avocado is the omegas too. And she says you can eat up to 2 avocados. And so when I put my salad together, I just want to mention this because I forgot. I've been eating this size, and I'll even fill it higher, right? So this is my salad bowl. Right, Todd? And then I'm taking anywhere from I'll start with a half. Sometimes I do 2, 2 halves, 1 whole avocado, but you can have up to 2. I haven't done up to 2. I've done half or almost a whole one. And I smash it, and then I mix it in here with the lime juice, and then if I haven't used the dulse, I'll put that in here. And I mean, I guess if I was going to put the salt in, I would maybe do a little sprinkle there, but I'm still on the fence. And then I can do ginger and other seasonings and other what else do I like? I like to use the no salt. This isn't Mrs. Dash, but I use this container, the no salt seasoning. Any herbs. I've got other herbs over here that I use. This happens to be basil. You can use anything, mint and cilantro. And so anyways, I wanted to share about the avocado because that's important, and it makes it taste so good. So Gina says, I'm making her smoothie right now. Also, you are? I wonder if we're going to put the same things in it. Oh my gosh, that's great. Lisa says, I'm lucky if I drink half a gallon of water a day. To Gina, she says. And then Gina says, I've been eating half an avocado a day and still dealing with weight. Well, for me, I've actually gone down like 1 or 2 pounds, but this is not for weight loss for me. This is for healing. And so, depending on what your goal is, right? There's always different things, and avocado is a high fat. And so if you're just trying to lose weight, maybe this isn't something, that you would want to do. Maybe you'd want to just do a quarter of or a fifth of an avocado. But for me, I want to try this. I love to try new things and see if it heals me. Can you imagine if I come back on here and share with you some great miracle? Oh my gosh, food is so amazing. Okay, so let me just move a couple things over. Yes, I'm going to just move this out of the way because I want to bring the Vitamix over, or at least the top here. And I have all that water in there, so I'm going to pour it in something else, this container, so I don't waste it. Okay, so this is what I do when I make her smoothie in the morning. Can you see? Okay, should I move this cantaloupe? Let me just do this. I'm going to bring this all over here. I get out a scale, okay? And I have this particular scale. Any scale will do. I zero it out. Let me move this out of the way. I zero it out, okay? And then I put my container on it. Gina, you're going to have to tell me what's in your smoothie, and I'll tell you what's in mine. So I zero it out, and then I put it on pounds. I can do grams, pounds, or ounces. I do ounces later. And then what I'm going to start doing is adding the salad. So, you could buy like we have a Trader Joe's. You could buy it in these bags. It's already ready to go, triple washed. This is organic shredded kale. This is a 10-ounce bag. You could buy it without it being triple washed and save the, the plastic and just get it like how I like to get it also. So I'd mix it up. And this one is the Power Greens. Some people are worried about oxalates, I'm sorry. And that comes from the spinach. You can do it with Napa cabbage. Napa cabbage, I think, would be a great solution if you're concerned about that. Okay, so I just want to do this again. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out a pound of my dark greens. And I am going to do some of this. This is arugula. Let's see. So right now, I'm not even at half a pound. Let me get some more greens. I'm going to do some of these. I like to mix it up. I like to have at least 2 or 3 different kinds of greens. Look at that. You think I'm not going to fit anything in here? Oh, wait, you'll see. So now it's at 0.526, so half a pound. Now I'm going to keep going. What am I going to add? I'm going to go now with some cauliflower because it's heavy and that one is good. I'm going to get another piece. We could put in one of these guys, which is the Brussels sprout. I'm going to cut the little end off and maybe just slice it up just to help my Vitamix out a little bit, but you don't have to. And so we're at 0.8 and I'm going to get crazy. I'm going to put in some broccoli. I usually don't because I like to take like the avocado and smash it up, and you can, smash up some tomatoes and onion and make kind of like a guacamole. And then you can scoop in any of this stuff. Okay, so keep going. I'm going to keep going here. You can even let's do one of these guys, asparagus. I cut the end off because I think that for the smoothie, it might not be super great. And let's see, how are we doing? We're just shy of a pound. Okay, so let me do a little bit more asparagus. Yes, I'm at a pound, and I will do something with this, probably put it in the freezer for my veggie broth, or peel it for you, like peel the outside or whatever. Okay, so here it is, 1 pound. Now I'm going to add my fruit. No, before I add my fruit, I'm going to add my omegas. Well, it's important because I'm going to put them in whole and let the Vitamix mix it. When I was at the Vitamix Museum, when I went to the NHA and we got a tour, somebody had asked about flaxseed, and they said, "Oh, it's so hard. It sticks all over. Is there anything I can do?" And the person said, or it flies up on the roof. They said, "Why don't you," or the lid, I should say, "why don't you put it kind of in the middle, pour it in the middle, and then put it on top?" I've tried it. It still sticks. So I don't know, but I try to do it to kind of keep it in there. Yes, honey. There's a question. Frozen Costco mango and blueberry, Trader Joe's organic shredded kale, flaxseed, and a little banana. Love them. Very good. Costco Power Greens are good for smoothies. Also, I think that's what Dr. G says. Yes, she is all about the Power Greens, and this is the one that she talks about and that she does from Costco. Okay, so we are at a pound plus the flax. Oh, there's another question.
Lisa would like to know, can you put red cabbage and beets in her smoothie?
Yes, in fact, I think on one of where's her recipe book? Oh, let me have that bottom one. I think as long as you get the 1 pound of cruciferous, you can add anything else. And in this book, this is her green smoothie recipe to kickstart your health and healing book. And she's got all kinds, and I'm just going to find one because I know I've seen it with the beet. Yep, here it is. It's called Beat Me to the Green. And she's got it in here. She has kale, carrot, beets, celery, pears, and flaxseed, and some other things that you could definitely try. So what was the other ingredient? Beets.
Beets and red cabbage.
Yeah, red cabbage. That's a cruciferous, of course. Napa cabbage, red cabbage, Brussels sprouts, any of that. I would say yes, she would be a fan.
And then Gina just wants the world to know that she was the one who asked the question on the Vitamix tour.
You were? That's awesome. Yay. Well, great question. You rock, girl. Okay, let me get the fruit out that we're going to use because I'm going to do frozen fruit. So I couldn't have it out. Otherwise, it might be mushy by then. Even though I'm not going to be mixing it up, I'm still going to show you the whole thing. And so what I decided is a banana, mango, and some cherries. I find that I can do berries, right? But I find that the cherries give me that sweetness I'm looking for. And so so my scale ended because I talked too much. And so let me just zero it out. And I'm going to change it now to ounces because I would do 12 ounces of fruit. And then I do another 12 ounces, 6 with my salad. And then I'll have half if I want. That's for lunch. And then I would have more for dinner so that I get fruit throughout the day and I am able to cut it down. Okay, so I've got my banana in there. This is a frozen banana and it's at 3.72 ounces. I would go ahead and add my cherries. Cherry, cherry, cherry. And I just kind of, see, now we're at 7.92. It was teetering. I had to wait for a minute. And then the last thing I'm going to add this time, but you can add any fruit you want. That's the beauty of it. You could do berries. You could do pineapple. You could do fresh apple. It doesn't matter. I like a smoothie to be really cold and refreshing. And just like my salad, doesn't this thing look like it's going to overflow? Just push that guy down. And there we go. There I go. I am just like, well, maybe a small piece will bring me exactly to 12. It's 12.22. So I could either take this off and it's 11.94. Fine, I'll do that. Question. Yes, honey.
So Video 1000 Nights would like to know, does she recommend eating a flax, chia, hemp, and walnuts, or just flax?
So I've heard her talk about flax and chia. I know I only put flax in here. I do have the chia out. I have not heard her talk about hemp, so I'm not sure about that. I have heard her talk about walnuts. And she has said that when you're healing, she said, walnuts are amazing. They are. But when you're healing, the omega-3 to the omega-6 is not as good as the flax and the chia. And she wants it to be higher on the 3s for healing purposes. So once you pass her 6 weeks, and check and decide if you need, check your blood and decide if you're going to continue. But once you're off her protocol, then you can add those in. And she was fine with it. So that's my understanding of it. Yeah, great question. I'm going to put these back and I'll be showing you the next step of what I do. And that's we're almost done here. Just want to get these back in the freezer. My bananas, I was used to putting dates in. I love dates because I like it sweet. And so that was a change for me. And it took a little bit, so you have to decide what works for you. And she's not saying you have to have a smoothie. She's saying you have to have this amount of food if you want to try the program. So if you want to chew it all, chew it all. But they found that having the smoothies a little bit throughout the day, not having the smoothie all at once with all those flax and chia seeds, because you might be in the potty. But if you do it slowly throughout the day in between, you'll have better results and it gives your body a constant flood. And I've been doing great on it. So then what I do is I take my measured water and I dump it in here. I'm not gonna do it now. I mean, because I wasn't gonna grind this up, but I dump it up to about here. And I've got, this is measured. So I know that I have these 2 that I'm going to drink in the morning. And then I would do 2 more later. When these cups get empty, they get refilled. And that's my water for the day. You don't add more water. It's the same water that you've measured that you can use in your smoothie. So I would do that. And then I would put it on, on the base. And I started wearing my earwear for protecting my ears. The Vitamix is so loud. So I'll look like this, and I can still hear enough to dance when I've got my Vitamix on. And I just kind of just tuck everything in. And I use my, what is this thing called? This guy. And I just blend it up, and it's fantastic. And then, I will pour it, and I'll pour it into another one of these. I'll pour it into a cooler. I use this one, not a cooler. What is this? A thermos kind of thing. I've been using this one, and it's got this kind of a lid, and then I put the straw in here. And so I fill one of these, and then I fill a smaller one, and that's what I have. So when I want to go and leave, I grab this one with the straw. When I'm in the house, I do this one, and I just make sure that, by lunchtime, this one's gone, or, and so that's how I do it. So I don't know, is it helpful that I actually showed, how I make it? I'd love to hear. And so let me see. Oh, Gina is saying, yes, she uses smoothies to hypernourish yourself. I like the suggestion from Vitamix to add flax through the lid after you blend most of the ingredients. You know what? I forgot about that. And you're right. That is another option. It really helps. She said, I was the one whining about cleaning the flaxseed stuck to the, you know what? You were not. Everybody has that same thought. You were just brave enough to ask it. And I appreciate it. And now I think about it. And so maybe that's what I'll do. Not this time because I'm all ready to go. But the next time I have to fill this up for a smoothie, I'm going to try to put it in the lid. So thanks for that reminder. So do we have any other questions? Anything that I could answer or talk about? I hope that this was helpful. Oh, you know what else? I add this. I forgot. In my smoothie, this is not protocol, but this is what I do. And in my salads, turmeric. This is a real piece of turmeric. You can use turmeric in the cabinet, and ginger. And what I do is and I'm going to do it right now. Darn it, I almost forgot. Sorry about that, guys. Don't want to forget anything. So what I do is I just cut a piece like this, and I could take a spoon and peel the outside, or heck, I could just throw it in there. And then I do the same thing with the ginger. I'll just grab a piece and I just cut some ginger off, like a good sized chunk. And with ginger, if you want to take the skin off, it's really great. You just use a spoon and you scrape against it. I'll show you. And look, it just peels right off. And you could do that. And I do that a lot. But I also, in this situation, I'm just going to do that. Now, I've learned that I need black pepper to activate the turmeric. Yes, I will put black pepper just a little bit in my smoothie. I don't taste it or notice it. And there you go. I blend this guy up and I drink it. And they say, or I've heard, that people are seeing results or feeling better within 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm not there. This is day 6 for me, and I hope to be able to continue. What do you guys think? Would you like me to continue to kind of give you an update on this? And Jill said, this was great. Oh, I'm so glad. I really am. Marilyn says, you always motivate me. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so happy to hear this. Natalie says, yes, it was very helpful. Lisa said, yes, I found this very useful. Plant-powered peddler Janet. Hey, Janet. She's making hers now. Gina said, I've been using noise reduction headphones also with the Vitamix. I first saw Jessica from the Crocs do it. Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, and she's just talking about, the headset that I had on there, any kind of earplugs, because the ear damage is real. And once you lose your hearing, you can't get it back. So Gina says, yeah, I add some additional spices, etc. Oh, she adds cinnamon, turmeric, black pepper, mushroom powder, etc. Wow, mushroom powder. I have some. And Gina says, yes, please keep us updated on your progress. Jill says, we would appreciate. Okay, I will. I'll do an update. Video 1000 Nights says, are you eating all raw? Yes, for the past 6 days, I have been eating all raw. I have been eating salads like this and all the smoothies and all the water and a little bit of fruit to equal that 24 ounces. And I have been really full. Now, my first day, I made a blended butternut squash soup. It's raw. I mixed it in here, and I do have some of that still. And I have this cookbook, her Hello Delicious. Oh, let me grab this. And I will do some of these too when I get bored or I feel hungry. So that's what I'm doing. And you know what? When I went raw the first time, I just got to say, when I went raw the first time, I was still hungry. And I think that's why I didn't stay raw. I knew you had to eat so much, but I was like chewing forever. I felt like I was 45 minutes, an hour and a half. I'm still chewing, and my jaw literally was getting tired. But right now, that hasn't been the case. So let's see. Lisa says, I add dulse flakes to mine to get my iodine. Yes, and so if I didn't, you know what? Let's just do that too. If I didn't put it in my salad, because I want to do it once a day, then I would. Let me get my measuring spoon. You guys are great. You're really helping me stay on track. And let's see, was it half a teaspoon? For me was the 300. And for other people that are not dealing with Hashimoto's, then they would do half of this, the 150. And look at that. So I'll just show you. Here we go. And da-da-da-da. Thank you. Thank you. So that's good. Let's see what else. I used to just do a little pinch, but this is actually more than what I was doing. So I think that's really great. And plant-powered peddler Janet says, I add dulse, spirulina, and barley grass juice powder. Yes, spirulina is so good. And I have that. I have the spirulina, but I'm not doing it right now. I'm just kind of trying to do hers the way that she is recommending. I'm not familiar if she recommends it. Although in this recipe book here, there is some stuff about spirulina and what is it called? Cruella? No, let's see. Here it is. Oh, chlorella, which is like it. Yeah. She has that on the Rise and Shine smoothie. And so maybe it is okay. I don't know. And let's see. Tracy Lynn. Hey, hello. Excuse me. Oh, hello. It's 6 a.m. in Western Australia. And I just made my smoothie, but I didn't weigh it. I am sure it was under the green. So thank you for the demo, Jennifer. Oh, yeah. That's great, though. Whatever works is awesome. And, when you think it's so high, just cram it down with your hand. So Lisa said, I found it very inexpensive to be raw.
Very expensive.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Sometimes the screen makes me see weird. Inexpensive. Oh, no, expensive. Expensive. I found it very, really. Well, okay. I guess why? Because you're eating larger volume, and so you have to buy more. I mean, that would make sense. But doing it this way, we have been going to the grocery store more often. We should look into that and see comparison if you want. So anyways, are you guys, I need 1 teaspoon of dulse I use. Okay, yeah. You use one teaspoon. I've been using the half a teaspoon.
Yeah, the brand that you use, 1 teaspoon equals 300 micrograms of iodine.
Okay, so it could be a different brand, it could measure differently. That's the thing that she was saying, like it's hard to know exactly the right amount. That's why she recommends doing it in the salt. But you know what? Is it possible to measure it in the salt? I don't know. But we just all do our best, and I'm doing my best, guys, and I appreciate everybody being here. And Lisa says, yes, the larger volume and the piece of organic veggies here. Oh, well, yeah, and she's in Canada, so yeah, I can imagine that. But so you do what you're a healthy one though, and you're fortunate. So we have to do what's best. for each other, for ourselves. Video 1000 nights. Are you raw? I'm curious. Have you tried it? Has anybody tried going raw? I know Janet has. And if anyone's interested in it, it would be fun to hear. And then we can wrap up, you guys. This has been really, really fun for me. I'm glad it was helpful. And as always, I super appreciate everyone. And yeah, how can you even forget, right? Don't forget to eat your greens. I'm not going to forget. I hope you don't either. And give plants a chance. I really appreciate you guys. I'm going to take off now. Have a wonderful rest of your day or early morning start of your day, wherever you are. Oh, and I'm just going to finish up. Video 1000 Nights says, no, I try to eat whole food, plant-based, sos-free, but actually eat some restaurant vegan food, etc. Okay, well, yeah, we do our best, and you're welcome. Gina says, thanks. Tracy says, thanks. And Lisa says, I like eating high raw and still getting my potatoes. Yeah. And you're welcome, everybody. Lisa said, thank you. And thank you. Thank you, guys. I can't thank you enough. And we'll see you next time. Take care.